Vergangene Woche den Ehrentrainer Weltcup-Sieg.
Wir müssen erstens einmal alles bleiben, das auch. Das heißt ja. Nein, so. Danke. Hast du?
Digga, men jag tar det och tar
Alles Gute.
C'est des fois sur des envies, tu sais, t'as pression 15, par devant, tu veux dire des comme ça, on lâche rien, des 17e.
Welcome back to Antholz and stop 6 of the BMW IBU World Cup season. It is our last weekend of World Cup racing before the World Championships in Lenzerheide next month. And we continue the action with the men's 10-kilometre sprint. It's 3 times around the 3.3-kilometre loop and 2 shooting stages for the athletes today. And we find ourselves in the glorious northeastern Italy on the Austrian border. We're at an altitude of 1,634 metres, the highest on the World Cup schedule. And this event, over the course of the next 3 days, acting as the test event for next year's Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games. Lots of eyes on this stop for plenty of reasons, and alongside myself, Ellen Ellard, to guide you through it with an expert eye once again is former Team USA biathlete Chad Samler. And Chad, the sun is out, the conditions are looking glorious today as we take a look at the wind flags there in the range, looking very still indeed.
It is a classic Antholz afternoon for Biathlon World Cup. The sun is shining. This is why people come to Antholz. That's why you see that huge crowd in the background. It's only Friday. It's not even the weekend yet, but this is what makes Antholz special. The weather is great, and they've actually put a building where the wind used to come from, so the wind, even if it is windier than it was today, actually, the range is going to behave better than it has probably ever in history.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great competition.
Plenty of Norwegian flags in the crowd there, and as Chad rightly noted, it's a new look Antholz, the stadium and the range refurbishment ahead of the Winter Olympic Games that come to northeastern Italy next year, and it's very similar to the layout of the Oslo Stadium and range. So those Norwegian flags and Norwegian fans and athletes A slight taste of home from home. We can take a look at the start list now on your screen for this, the men's 10-kilometre sprint. Some absentees to note. Danilo Liedmüller has withdrawn to avoid risk of overexertion. The head of German Biathlon saying that he's had a number of tests and some of the results have given him a headache. So he's taking time away. He's remaining in Italy to join up with the German team in their training camp as they prepare for the European Championships, and will hope to join back up with the German squad ahead of the World Championships in Lenzerheide. And the other change as well, Roman Rees being replaced by Simon Kaiser. We have to talk, of course, as we see the scattering of the Norwegian flags there about the Norwegian team. We have the team has been announced for the World Championships, but let's start with Johannes Tingers Bø, Chad. 27 podiums, 10 individual wins, 3 world titles won here. He was the short individual winner last season, the sprint winner here the season before, the last time a sprint was held here in Antholz. His first victory was back in 2015, and this is the stat which blows my mind slightly. He's taken at least 1 gold medal here consecutively since 2017.
Yeah, when you put that into context, as you research this World Cup stop, and you realize that he's not going to be here in the Olympics next year, it almost kind of hurts, because you've got Olympic gold medals. He's got 5. That's 3 shy of Ole Einar Bjørndal's record. Olympic medals total, he's got 8 total, 14 for Bjørndal. That's a little bit bigger, 6 medals. But he could have won 6 medals at the Olympics here next year, and he's not coming. So we have to enjoy this week with Johannes Tingers Bø as he finishes out his career this year. And but this is one of his best venues, and I think a lot of that has to do with his oxygen carrying capacity. He can come here from low altitude and probably do better than most of the people in the field, just because he's got that huge max CO2 that probably helps make him the best in the world to begin with.
And yeah, as you rightly say, Chad, this is his farewell tour. It now feels like the rest of the season will have that air about it. And after that announcement on Saturday, of course, he competed in the mass start on the Sunday, finding his way onto the podium. So showing that his form is still there as he fights back from illness over the Christmas period. But it would be very special for him, and of course, where he's had so much success over the course of the last decade now, to go out on a high here. He will compete in his last World Championships next month. The team that includes his brother Tarjei, Stella Holmler-Glide, Stromsheim, Sørlum and Uldal, Vem Steimervik, Kirkeide, Notten and Lean, as well as Ingrid Lamotte Hanvold is the team for the women's side of things. Johannes Dahle Skjevdal, Chad, or Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen, who were both on the podium here last season in the mass start with Vebjørn Sørlum, and Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen, of course, taking 2 individual bronze medals at the World Championships. But that just shows how brutal the selection is for the Norwegian team.
Yeah, it makes you think that, boy, there are many national teams who would like to have both those guys on their team, and they're going to sit home, or they're going to actually go to the IBU Cup. It's incredible to think that Johannes Dahle Skjevdal was 3rd ranked in the World Cup last year overall at the end of the year, and he's not on the World Championship team of 6th for Norway the following year.
Lennart Birkentals will be getting us underway in the colours of Latvia. The first athlete, bib number 1, pushing through the gates and away as we start this men's 10-kilometre sprint here in Antholz. And, the crowd in great form. They packed out the stand yesterday, as Chad rightly said. It's still only Friday. We have obviously 2 more days of action to come after this, and 2 packed schedules as well. So we expect the crowd, the number and the excitement to increase over the weekend.
The old Krasimir Simkovic of the Croatian team. That's actually the team that Jakov Fak began competing for, as he grew up in Croatia, but has switched to the Slovenian nationality, mainly for biathlon success, which he's had a great career.
Vladimir Iliev, green and red of Bulgaria. His 405th World Cup start, maintaining a strong -2 skiing this season.
Yeah, Iliev actually, he had a World Championship silver medal way back in 2019 in Östersund in the individual, and at that time was a very, very competitive skier. But 37, winding down, not quite as fast as he was in Östersund, but still always a threat for the top 30.
And the first of our Italian contingent. Some flickers of the red, green and white in there amongst plenty of German flags.
Yeah, go ahead.
Didier Bø, the 24-year-old.
It almost feels like a German venue here in Antholz. It always has. It's only about an hour and 45 minutes to cut across the thinnest part of Austria from Germany into Italy. So it's not a very long drive. In fact, it's a pretty close drive from Ruhpolding to here. It probably takes about 3.5 hours only. It's actually closer to Antholz than Oberhofen is.
And a lovely shot as we follow the Italian through the pine trees. Dmitry Shmaev of Romania. That's my best in the individual 22nd from the World Championships in Novo Mesto last year. 91% accuracy in the prone position.
And he's having a good year. He's currently ranked 44th overall in the World Cup standings. His best prior to this was 2 years ago. He was 72nd. So moving up the rank order is Shmaev.
Jesper Nalen. One to watch as one of the potential early pace setters in this race. 2 flower ceremonies and 1 podium to his name. 3rd in the mass start in Oslo last season.
Yeah, similar to Iliev, a little bit younger. He's 5 years younger than Iliev, but kind of that same ilk as biathlete. He has that 1 podium and has shown that he can be there before, but it's been several years. His first podium was, well, actually last year, but his high point of his career was probably 4 or 5 years ago, where he was ranked highest in his career in 15th in 2023.
Anton Dichenko of Ukraine next to get away. And well, Chad, we mentioned it at the start, but the conditions looking very good indeed. And we also spoke quite a bit yesterday about how the improvements, the upgrade to the stadium and the buildings around the main part of the circuit here in Antholz may affect the range and the wind. But what's some of the other challenges that this course poses?
Well, the course it's not particularly noteworthy in its profile, meaning if you watch the course profile as the show opened, it's relatively up and down, undulating. There's no big climbs, there's no massive hill, there's no thing that sits out of the course and says, oh, that's a massive hill. There's one big hill about 1 kilometer, about 1.2 from the range that they climb to the top of. But otherwise, the venue is known. It has been known to be a difficult shooting range because of the wind and the altitude. You don't have a lot of oxygen, so you see them often come, especially coming down from 2 weeks of low altitude racing up to this 3rd week of high altitude racing. The hallmarks of this venue have always been managing your shooting with less oxygen. But the other things that have changed this stadium now is that if you look on the left side of the shooting range, shooters left, there used to be nothing there. They put a wall there about 6 years ago, and now they put a huge building there for the Olympic Games, and that building should really block the wind that comes up the valley, particularly in mornings. Usually strong winds from left to right on this venue. That should be dissipated now and gone and that building should block that wind. And I think that's going to change the nature of the shooting in Antholz.
We're waiting there for Didier Bø to emerge from the pine trees, and when he does and goes through 1.5 kilometres of the 4 bibs who have gone through that point, he is in the lead by 1.9 seconds. Lou Jean-Monod spoke about it yesterday, Chad, in her post-race interview about how prepared the French team are as a stumble out of the gate there for Alexandre Moukin. Yeah,
the French, most of the French athletes grew up in a couple of different regions. There's the region where Martin Fourcade grew up in the Pyrenees over towards Spain, and then a lot of the athletes are from the Alps, different regions within the Alps, of French Alps. Haute-Savoie is a huge part of it. We were there for the World Cup in Grand Bornand, but most of them have grown up at relatively high altitude, and they don't really get affected as much by sea level or lower altitude athletes, like Scandinavians, for example. The Scandinavians are going to have by nature being born at low altitude, are going to have a harder time adjusting coming back to high altitude after basically a month of being at low altitude.
Yeah, Lou Jean-Monod also saying that they spent a lot of time training at altitude in the summer months, as Jesper Nelen coming towards 1.5 kilometres.
Going to come in just shy of Biathlon.
Yep, 0.7 of a second in it, with 7 athletes of our 103 through the 1.5 kilometre mark. Looking down the start list, we have only one DNS, and that is Antholz who was due to be wearing bib 26 today. He is a DNS and won't make his way out at that point.
This is number 15. We haven't talked much about him. 23-year-old Janos Maricek, and another up-and-coming Czech athlete. He's junior world champion in 2022, 2 years ago in the individual. Still hasn't really broken into the highest level of the sport. Has a 21st as his high water mark, but probably somebody to watch for the future. The Czechs have a great developmental program, and Maricek is one of the stars for them in the coming years.
Thierry Longa of Belgium set a new personal best this season, right at the start of the season, in the short individual in Contiolate, finishing 9th on that day. This is 149th World Cup start, and he'll be hoping that he can continue his good form of reaching every pursuit so far this season to make his 150th appearance on Sunday.
Switzerland's Joscha Burkhalter having one of the best seasons, the best season of his career. Burkhalter, 28 years of age, currently sitting in 37th overall in the overall World Cup standings, and that's as high as he's ever been. He was 46th last season. Keeps climbing up the rankings over the last 5 years.
Equaled his personal best in Ruhpolding, a 10th place finish in the individual, and 15th in the mass start. Here's Johannes Kuhn. Only one podium here. That was in the short individual last season where he finished 3rd. No top 6 finishes since then, and he's the only Norwegian, or was the only Norwegian, to feature on the podium across 2 individual men's races here last season. As we go into the range for the first time, as Iliev and bib number 3 leading into the range by 16.4 seconds.
Yes, already you can see, we saw this yesterday in the women's competition, that we come in the majority of the field shooting quite a bit slower than their normal cadence, just from that altitude difference. Here's Biathlon now. 25 seconds faster than the current leader after shooting 1. Let's see, 4 seconds between shots. 5 seconds and a miss. So you figure it out. There's 5 shots at 4 seconds a shot. It's 20 seconds just to take the shots. A lot of athletes at lower altitude will be out, in and out in 23, 24 seconds. So that is very slow shooting. But we saw that yesterday as well. This is, so you asked about what is the difficulty, the hallmark of this range. This is it. This is the shooting speed. Tends to slow down quite a bit.
Sean Doherty, the USA, his high watermark. Well, that did come at altitude in Soldier Hollow, finishing 10th in the pursuit back in the 2018-19 season, and 1 miss in the prone position. So it'll be once around the 150-metre penalty loop, which you can see, well, perfectly positioned there. Sometimes it's off to the side, but that actually gives us quite a good view of where the athletes will be coming in and out of as Jesper Nelen pulls up.
He's got 21. So Birkenthal is the only clean athlete, bib number 1, and we didn't even follow him because he's not historically one to follow, but he's leading right now because everybody else has a miss. Bianot's 3.2 seconds back. Srnkovic of Croatia 4.7 seconds back, and Sean Doherty is just 6 seconds out with a penalty.
Well, we saw it yesterday. It took quite some time before we got the first clean shooters through. We're having some better luck today, although that can't be said for Jesper Nelen, who's 2 misses already in the prone position.
So Dimitri Shamayev of Romania now the new leader. He supplants Birkenthal by 12 seconds, so a little bit faster skiing by Shamayev, but we missed him as well as Nelen goes to the penalty loop. 2 clean shooters. It's Shamayev and Birkenthal, the least likely of the first 6 starters to be leading, but they are 1 and 2.
Well, here's that uphill that Chad was talking about. before the ahead of the range, and it's at 2.2 kilometres. And the athletes will have to tackle it again on the last lap, just before it's the last kilometre that time check will mark, as Telo Seppälä goes through 2.2 in fourth.
Simon Kaiser comes in with a lead at 21.3 seconds. The Germans love it. He's shooting a little closer to a normal cadence at 2.8 seconds a shot, and then misses his last two. And that's what Antholz will get you. You don't know why you miss, but you're just not quite as settled as normal as you are at lower altitude. And the misses keep coming. Still only 2 athletes clean through 9 starters. Here's Bib 10 now, Anton Widmar. Leading by 3 seconds coming in, so not skiing particularly quickly. Shamayev is the leader. Shamayev is he's a plus number on the skiing. Yeah, he's a leader of the competition statistically. Is a +2 ski on ski time. So that just tells you how big of a factor the clean shooting matters for Shamayev so far. So.
And when we speak about the plus and minus numbers in terms of skiing, that's all based on the average skier in the field will be given, of course, the number 0, and then the ski times factor in around that. So we're looking for minus numbers, with those at the top end of the field sitting around -4 and above.
Yeah, +2 would put you probably in the bottom 30 to bottom 40% of the field on ski time. Here now is Johannes Kuhn. This is been on the World Cup for 12 seasons and has been a mainstay of the German team for all that time. He's definitely, when he's in his best form, Johannes Kuhn is absolutely a threat for the podium. In fact, he's had a victory, a second and 3 third-place finishes over his career, so he's been on the podium several times. But he has to be firing on all cylinders. And then his biggest challenge has always been the standing shooting. He's a great prone shooter. I think he's 96% this year. Yeah, 95% this season. That's one of the best prone shooting scores of the field. But he's only 70% standing shooting as Kuhn.
Well, Niklas Hartweg, the Swiss athlete, he's in very good form indeed. 2 seconds off the pace of our leader. That is the 1.5 kilometre mark. Simon Kaiser still leading the way, and Niklas Hartweg of Switzerland 2 seconds behind that is Telo Seppälä into the range for his first shoot. And that's a lot quicker than we've seen.
He took a couple of extra breaths and made sure that he was settled. He shot with his normal cadence, but you can see he took a little more time to set up, and that's a nice strategy. And he's going to come out of there with a big lead of 14.5 seconds over Shamayev is Seppälä now. And here's Martin Ponsaloma.
His 199th World Cup start, Martin Ponsaloma, as you can see confirmation that Telo Seppälä 14.5 seconds in the lead now, leaving shooting 1.
Well, Seppälä is in a really good spot there because Martin Ponsaloma is the fastest man in the field right now, faster than Johannes Bø. And if Seppälä can just kind of keep him in eye contact and within vision to the next shooting stage, that'll carry him through that middle loop.
Jonas Malacek going clean as well. He'll be well behind the time of Seppälä, 7.3 seconds, and he slots into second place.
So athletes with a little more pedigree than Shamayev and Birkenthals now moving into the lead spot after the first shooting.
There's Justus Strelo, the 32 today, the German.
Strelo has to be on his skiing. Just a -1 to the field, but he's so fast on the range and so clean. Was the best shooter in the field last year. Struggled earlier in the season this year. He's currently at 90% as Strelo. Here's Kuhn now. That 95% prone needs to carry him through this sprint competition. He looks like he's skiing well. 4.7 seconds ahead coming into shooting ahead of Telo Seppälä. Starts with a hit. I think he had a misfire on that second shot. He clicked it. You heard the click, and no shot went off. I think he's going to have to actually load. Oh, no. Maybe it was maybe a mistake in there, but sounded funny, but he's going to have a miss.
Yeah, it did look like a misfire, unless we had sound that was out of sync.
Well, one thing that might...
It did seem like and then I think he then went on to miss again.
I think what happened was I think that the misfire was actually, it could have been a round that was that shot, but maybe didn't have enough gunpowder or something like that. I've had that happen where it probably died somewhere halfway to the target, but hard to say, not knowing. But there was something odd with that shot. But he goes to the penalty loop just once. Does Kuhn?
As Lukas Hofer takes the lead at 1.5 kilometers, but not by the biggest margin. There's Vítězslav Horník.
Horník's trailing Seppälä by 4 seconds, and gonna have to be quick on the range. It's a tough task. We see that already. Nice cadence though. 2-second cadence for Horník, and like clockwork, he's going to be in it. Not going to take the lead, but he'll be close.
Yeah, he's in really good form. Personal best finish in the individual in Ruhpolding. 20 out of 20 shots on the day, just off the pace in terms of skis to secure that maiden podium that he would have looked for. Here's Didier Bionats.
Nice lead, 24 seconds, skiing very fast. The leader at shooting 2 is Antholz of Latvia, so Bionats really competing against people behind him in the start order at this point. Nice, well done.
And a miss on the last for Niklas Hartweg. He was quick through the first 4 and came in leading by 9.2 seconds, but he'll be once around the penalty loop. As Bionats pulls the other way. Clean on that final shoot, and it's 9 out of 10 and a commanding lead at this point through shooting 2. 38.4 seconds in the lead. One of only 4 athletes though to have reached this stage so far.
So now we're watching for Tero Seppälä at the standing shooting. He's leading after 4.8 kilometers. As Chimaev now the early leader on the top of the first top 10 or the first 10 starters comes in. He's 16 seconds down though to Bionats, who's 9 for 10. Chimaev holding solid. Nice shooting. Perfect shooting for Chimaev.
Yep, 10 out of 10. Nicely done by the Romanian.
Going to lose the lead though to Bionats. You can see he doesn't quite have the ski speed. He looks a little more labored coming out, not as much energy, but still great performance by Chimaev.
Yeah, that's just further example of how well Didier Bionats has been going on the skis today, as Adam Runnels drops down into the prone position. Bib 25 for Canada.
He's just 4.8 seconds out of Seppälä. That's good skiing for Runnels. There's a miss though for Runnels.
Around the penalty loop he goes.
Currently the top-ranked Canadian biathlete, Adam Runnels, trying to lead this young Canadian team into the future. Here now is Kuhn.
This is David Zobel, who is pulling in for his first visit to the range.
Skiing relatively even with Tero Seppälä. It's half a second out of the lead, now coming into shooting number 1. Zobel, one of those athletes that kind of just bounces when he's in really good shape. He's on the World Cup team, but he spends most of his time on the IBU Cup, currently ranked 17th on the IBU Cup, while simultaneously being ranked 39th in the World Cup. Splitting his time between the 2 circuits. Gets the nod here this week with Danilo Riedmüller not starting.
Yeah, it was a disappointing opening weekend in Kontiolahti. He was back on the German team in Ruhpolding for the individual, finishing 43rd, and 1 miss in the prone position as Lukas Hofer, the Italian, coming in 7.5 seconds in the lead.
Wouldn't the Italians love a clean performance by this man? But they're not going to get it right from shot number 1. Clearly went out very quickly. If there's anybody who should know this range, it's Lukas Hofer. He trains here day in and day out. So he's looking for the win, looking at win. Maybe it's poor position. Both shots out at, you can see they're out at to the right at 3 o'clock.
He's given himself a huge amount of work to do.
Yeah.
And can't stay on his feet as well either, as he stumbles away from the mat and heads for twice around the penalty loop.
I don't know how you can't think of, I don't know how you can't, if you're Lucas Hoffer, you can't be thinking ahead of the Olympics and kind of running through the mental gymnastics of competing at the Olympics in front of the home crowd. Ponsaloma.
Well, we know he's quick on the skis, and he comes in 11.5 seconds in the lead, but he needs to be clean in the range today.
He's missing again. It's been his prone, that's the problem. If he can get these last 2 shots and hold together standing. He was second here last time he was in Antholz in the sprint with a penalty to Tarjei Bø. So he could best the field. He's got the ski speed to do it, even with a miss. Here's Seppälä now. Oh, you can see he jumped on that shot. 9 for 10, just thinking about that perfect clean shooting stage in the 4th shot, and he jumped on a relatively good hold. I could see his barrel dip on that jump shot.
But he is skiing very well, and even with once around the penalty loop, you imagine that should, at this stage, still be enough for him to take the lead. As Jonas Malacek comes in for his standing shoot. He's 17.5 seconds ahead of the time of Didier Bianats coming into shooting 2.
This is good for Malacek. He's got 52 seconds to get to the time check. He's very kind of a crunch style of holding the rifle, but he's clean on the day.
It's very quick shooting indeed from Jonas Malacek, who, will take the lead. With that time, he just has to get round the corner, and then it's about 15 metres. And he goes past the time check. Let's take a look at what the time is. 11.3 seconds in the lead, Jonas Malacek.
Well, we talked about it. The junior world champion from 2 seasons ago in the individual goes clean today. Malacek now in the best shape he's ever been in a World Cup competition. Exciting for the 23-year-old for the Czech team.
Victor Blunt is only 1 second behind the time of Telo Seppälä, and he's clean through the prone shoot.
Well, Sweden's going to like that. Every amount of confidence that Victor Brandt can take gives them a better chance in the relay, as he has been their go-to guy for the opening leg of the Swedish relay team. And he hasn't done horribly, but he has not done anything spectacular to put the Swedes in contention yet, but they've still been on the podium.
And he's only lost 1/10 of a second, just slightly slower through the range in comparison to Telo Seppälä. Well, what a story this was. Tommaso Giacomel. And, the crowd responding as the 24-year-old starts his race today. First World Cup victory and first podiums of the season in the mass start in Ruhpolding, and you do feel it's a huge weight lifted after struggling to consistently break into the top 10 this season. Another mistake, Johannes Kuhn, and that's 3 now, so that's his day over.
Germans not having the kind of start to this sprint that they were hoping for. And it's going to be a 70% shooting day for Johannes Kuhn. And he's not quite skiing at the level we've seen him in the past either, so his fitness not quite at the absolute peak. But now an opportunity for this man, Vítězslav Horník. Having a great season, a breakout season. Currently ranked 33rd. Or 24th in the overall standings, was 92nd ranked last year. So jumping up the standings, this man, if he can keep this shooting performance together, he looks solid as a rock in the position. 10 for 10, beautiful shooting by Horník.
That is excellent from Vítězslav Horník of Czechia. Smashing personal bests. He started this season with a really solid 15th in the mass start in Kontiolahti. He then took 10 places off that in Ruhpolding in the individual. 20 out of 20 on that day. He's 10 out of 10 today, and 4.2 seconds his lead out of shooting 2.
And 2 Czechs at the top of the order, Horník and Malacek, both of them under 25 and under. That's a big start for the Czech team. They're going to be psyched in Czech Republic with the 2 zeros next to their top 2 athletes in the start order.
So our first two athletes over the line, and it's Tarjei Bø who has a lead of 56.8 seconds, but only two finishes at this stage. As Nicholas Hartvig, two missed shots, and that's three. There's a total now, and it'll be an extra 300 metres added to his final lap.
And Hartvig, such a strong shooter, 84% prone, 85% standing, and he drops three today. It's just, it's kind of heartbreaking because it's the last test before he goes home and has to race at his home World Championships. So Tarjei Bø now 10 seconds in the lead before any shooting has been done yet.
Well, he has a real affinity with this circuit, doesn't he? Tarjei Bø. Our focus now is on Emilian Claude. 0.2 of a second in the lead coming into this first shoot.
Had trouble with his rifle earlier in the year. They fixed that. Now his shooting is right at the top of the order. Then he's clean again. Has that kind of an odd cant to his rifle. It's not something you look to, you really want to hang on to, but he's executing it just fine, even though he's putting a lot of weight into that cheek piece. 5 seconds back in fourth. Tight at the top of the order after Prone and Antholz.
Here's Tarjei Bø. 3.8 seconds, his advantage into shooting one. With 42 today.
Tarjei currently back-splitting midway through the first loop. He's the second closest guy to his brother on the skis at 1.5 kilometers. Jacomel just 3 seconds back. But Tarjei Bø 10 seconds back. So Johannes out fast, but Tarjei is going to challenge Johannes with clean shooting.
Quick and clean. The Norwegian coming towards the red sign, which indicates the time check. And he's in second. Dmitry Podruchny leading the way, and Tarjei Bø 1.3 seconds behind. So one Claude brother through, and now time for the next. It's Fabien Claude, 1.2 seconds behind Podruchny coming into shooting one.
You can actually hear the breathing. Great audio there as you hear just how hard Fabien Claude is skiing after that first lap of skiing. It's so hard to get settled. It's a miss for him as well. Clean shooting is the order of the day, though. They're top 8, top 9 in the standings after shooting one are clean. Podruchny has taken the lead and did 36th, ahead of Tarjei Bø by 1.3 seconds. We missed that. Seppala still holding down third, but he had a miss from standing, but he's third after prone.
Stella Hummerglide, the world champion in this discipline. And impressive 96% prone this season.
Comes in 10.2 seconds ahead of the leader Podruchny of Ukraine. Oh, this altitude is not bothering him at all.
Well, it seems to be the way with all the Norwegians who we've seen come through so far. It hasn't changed their cadence at all by the looks of things, Chad, as Martin Ponsaloma in for his standing shoot. He needs to go clean here.
He misses another. Just drops the last one. Martin just is not as he can't keep his focus through the whole shooting stage. You can see he starts thinking and then starts doubting a little bit, and it's a tough place to be. Now Seppala coming to the finish. As
Tarjei Bø pulls into the range for his first shoot. Telo Seppala. Now this new part of the course. Go past the range.
Oh, missed by Bø. Can probably afford that one the way he's skiing. He came in with a big lead, but will leave trailing.
So Telo Seppala of Finland, 9 out of 10 in the range, and a 7.4 second lead over Tarjei Bø.
And that will likely be relatively short-lived as Bibbs 20 and 15 and 20, Maracek and Hornick. Here comes Maracek now to try to take down the time of Seppala. And he's going to do it.
Clean shooting on the day for Jonas Malacek. And a 10.6 second lead. The Czech team in good form indeed, particularly in the range, looking very strong. And worth keeping an eye on them in the relays this weekend.
Giacomello skiing well, coming in with a lead, but drops a shot there. Had 7.2 seconds on Petrucci, who still leads after shooting one. Or Lagre, excuse me. And he'll go to the penalty loop. The disappointment there. And Brandt had a good race going and misses 3. Meltdown for him. And he's looking back, shaking his head. He had a good one going, but you know, when you're in that position, you kind of have to go for it. He had a good clean shooting prone. You're not a big star. You're trying to make an impression. You might as well go for it. He misses 3, and he'll do it. He'll do it at some point. Brandt will have a good day.
Well, another of the athletes looking to make a good impression, and that's because the World Championships are on home snow next month. Joshua Burkhalter, who won't take the lead. 9 out of 10 in the range. He's over the line in third. 11.4 seconds behind the time of Jonas Malacek.
Yeah, but less than a second out of second. That hurts a little bit. 0.8 of a second behind Seppala. He drops into the third spot at the finish. Now Petrucci, the leader, leading by 23.7 seconds. Campbell Wright comes in for the prone shooting, and Wright enters the range just 7 seconds off the pace of Sturla Lodgren, and Petrucci has a miss.
9 out of 10 for Dimitri Petrucci, and a miss for Campbell Wright as well, the blue bib. And two misses.
The magic that has been a 90+% shooting prone position for Campbell Wright was gone today in Antholz, coming off of, clearly he was not feeling well in Rupolding last week, so probably also trying to overcome some sickness.
And we will have 2 clean shooting Czech athletes at the top of the standings, because Vítězslav Horník coming towards the line.
Horník making a second and a half on his teammate most of this lap. Left the shooting range 4 seconds ahead of him, and he comes across the line 11, so making time in the last K. Horník, your new leader, and this is new territory for both the Czech athletes. They're in 1 and 2.
Yeah, a really solid day and lots of hard work done in the range, both going 10 for 10.
And these athletes, you know, we talk a lot about the stars, but Vítězslav Horník and Jonas Maracek, they're working as hard as anybody out there all season long. And to put down a performance like that, a groundbreaking performance, even if it doesn't end up being a podium, it's still very special to be leading at the finish line for both those athletes.
You can see bib number 70, Eric Perrault, and looking down the order, he's one of the last athletes who would expect to challenge. So we'll keep an eye on his race. There's 2 misses for Philip Horn.
Yeah, the Germans are putting some good skiing performances together, but they're all just 1 or 2 misses too far away from doing anything special today. So Quentin Fillon-Maillet comes in 1.4 seconds back of Sturla Holm Lagride, who is clean.
He had the lead up until just after 2.2 kilometres. So 2 misses for Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
And you have to start thinking about the pursuit. You miss those 2 shots, and you're like, okay, I gotta pull it back, because there's some points to be won or lost in the pursuit as well.
A really disappointing start to the day after taking the win in the sprint in Oberhof. A miss for Emilien Claude on the last visit to the range as well.
Lots of barrel movement. The fact that he's hitting, he's actually great trigger control, because his position, he looks like he's really tired from the skiing there. And the shooting result actually is, I would say, is better than his hold looked on the target. And his barrel was moving all over the place. He still got 3 to 5. So great trigger control by Emilien Claude in this high altitude venue.
This is shooting 2 now for Tarjei Bø. 5.7 seconds behind the time of the leader, Petrucci.
Looking very composed. I'm watching his belly, right under the bib number. You watch how hard he's bringing the breath in, and how long he's breathing. He looks like he's not pushed too hard on the skis. Sodom has a miss from prone. You know he's fast, but Tarjei Bø is clean on the day.
A great shooting day for Tarjei Bø. And this will be the lead. You can see Produchny, that's a small one next to his name. He had one miss in the standing position, but Tarjei Bø's gone clean, and it's 17.8 seconds that he leads, exiting shooting 2.
Well, it's not spectacular skiing if you consider Produchny is within a penalty loop and he has a miss to Tarjei Bø. This is going to Tarjei Bø, if he wants to take the win, it's going to. You're hoping that he's maybe saved a little bit for the last loop because he's going to need it. And the Stromsheim now. From late in the order, did 60. Trailing by 12 to teammate Lagrade. So Stromsheim with a solid performance, but just not quite on the pace of skiing that we've seen him earlier in the season, and certainly not at the hit rate that we're used to seeing either.
But here is the man to beat, Sturla Holmlaglide. 18.9 seconds he leads coming into shooting 2.
Almost afford a miss against those who have come through. Still a lot of great athletes to come as he misses, and Samuelsson lines up to shoot, but Samuelsson misses as well. Oh, 2 misses for the Swede. 3. The Swedes are just throwing lead down range and not hitting their targets. This is a brutal start for Sebastian Samuelsson.
It is not working in the range at all for the Swedish athletes today. As you can see, Sturla Holmlaglide working his way around the penalty loop.
So he's up against Bø, who's clean, Tarjei Bø. And he's going to fall outside that time, but he's definitely out-skiing Tarjei.
Yep, just 0.6 of a second in it. And, well, you imagine Sturla Holmlaglide in the form that he's in will be able to make that up quite easily. As here's Martin Ponsaloma, another really tough day in the office for the Swede. Starts off so strongly in the races, and you just hope that it's going to be the day that it all clicks for him. It hasn't quite come yet, outside of the odd good leg in the relay. And we can take a look at Johannes Tingersbo. One miss next to his name. But skiing very well, and that's another miss now. So it'll be once more around the penalty loop before he can start his final lap.
But he can still win. You look at his time coming in. He had a penalty coming in. He's still minus 8.3 on Tarjei, his brother, who was clean at that point. So Johannes was already carrying a penalty and was even with Tarjei coming into the shooting range. He leaves with a penalty. It'll probably be just about 15 seconds back of his brother and Lagrade. Maybe a little more. He's up at 6 seconds now. But this is certainly surmountable for him.
We're looking further down the order. Of course, we saw 3 misses for Sebastian Samuelsson. Martin Oldal has a miss as well. Here's Emilien Jacquelin.
Well, the French aren't doing it, the Germans aren't doing it, and the Swedes aren't doing it. So, and Jacquelin has now 2 misses for Italy. So the Norwegians are currently in the strong seat compared to the French. And
as you say that, Chad, Emilien Jacquelin, quick and clean through the prone position. He's 2.8 seconds behind the time of Sturla Holmlaglide coming into shooting 1 as he exits. That's now dropped to 3.7. But this is certainly a performance that could challenge from Emilien Jacquelin.
One last stab at it. Well, they also have Eric Perrault coming behind him in bib 70. Perrault's the kind of guy that can kind of cast shade on people who miss shots late in the order. He's got the sort of a je ne sais quoi about him where he starts late and he knows what he has to do. He can often do it. And that's how he's been at his best in the past. He's won twice. And Perrault starts bib 70. He still has yet to shoot prone. There's Fabian Mühlauer, bib 51 for Austria in just his 3rd World Cup start, but 2 misses right away off the standing shoot. Adds to the pressure for the young Austrian. Navrath in the breakout, he's scoring fast, 3 for 3. Oh! It seems it's the story of the day for the Germans right there.
Yep. A miss on the last is the Dmytro Produchny.
This is going to be tight.
Yeah, it will be as it goes down that short and sharp final descent and towards the finish line.
He had Hornig by 4 seconds at the last time check, 4.5 seconds. I think he's going to get him.
He will, yep. It's 5.6 seconds. Dmytro Produchny leads for now. And, well, an improvement on last week in Ruhpolding. He had such a spectacular week in Oberhof, didn't he? And you could tell that those performances just took a little bit out of him in terms of his response in Ruhpolding. But he leads. As Eric Perrault, one miss.
Perrault came in with a fast ski time, just 2.7 seconds off the leader, Lagride. But started with a miss, and you can see he shakes his head. Maybe take another extra second or two just to settle into that first shot.
Jakov Fak.
So experienced, so solid. 10 for 10. That's how you do it.
Yep, that's what the experience gets you.
And now it's Philip Horn. 2 misses on the day, and he's actually challenging Produchny with 2 misses, but falls outside the time.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get the check Hornig either.
No. You'll start to see those names flick past as our focus is on the German Philip Horn, which is who's in the sandwich of the athletes either side of him as he comes over the line in fourth, 17.3 seconds.
And he falls just 1/10 of a second behind Maracek in third. So it's 1/10 between third and fourth. Maracek 17.2 seconds back. Horn 17.3 seconds back. Things very tight. This is a typical finish order in Antholz where it gets very tight once everybody gets across the line.
Otto and Vinius with 9 out of 10 on the day. He's across the line in 11th. I'll focus on Sturla Holmlaglide, who was trailing by 0.6 of a second. And, well, the gap has opened up, and it's now 3.6 seconds that Sturla Holmlaglide trails Tarjei Bø.
So I think we got our answer to Tarjei Bø. He had some left. He was holding back for the shooting, and that's a smart move when you're at altitude because you just have a little bit more composure and you know you can hang it out there. Now here's Tarjei Bø. How much speed can he generate in the finishing stretch here?
Yep, well, it will be Tarjei Bø who takes the lead. Clean shooting. 10 out of 10. And there's no doubt whether he will take top spot. You can see all the greens along the bottom of your picture, and he will be in the green as he comes over the line. 22 seconds. Tarjei Bø at the top for now here in Antholz. How long will it stand for? Can anyone challenge that time?
Well, he's doing the job. As you see, Jeremy Finello now starting his shooting. He's one of the fastest skiers in the field all season long, but starts with a miss. But at 8.2 kilometers, Tarjei Bø has actually pulled 9 seconds out of Johannes. So Tarjei having a great last lap.
Yeah,
here's Johannes now.
Here is Johannes Tingersbo, who will need a spectacular final lap. And, well, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. He'll slot in fourth. So advantage the older of the Bø brothers, Tarjei Bø, as Johannes Bø level with Vítězslav Hornig in fourth. Those
not going to be podium, I don't think.
Yeah, you can see it's more than cost him there.
He's tired for sure, and that's what altitude will do. And you're going out and you have a miss in the first stage, then you're forced to push a little bit harder. And I think Johannes has used his energy up in the first 2 laps of these 3. There's Giacomelli now trying to move into the podium positions.
And he will find himself in the podium positions for now.
Oh, he's in good shape. You can see he's charging. He's got a penalty more than Sturla Holmlaglide, and he's only trailing Lagride in second by 5, and he might get him by the finish the way he's skiing. 5.8 seconds back, but just 2.2 shy of the silver medal is Giacomelli as we follow him down this long, winding downhill towards the finish line. Great shots here of the beautiful venue of Antholz. Here's Lagride now.
Yep, the world champion coming towards the finish line. He needed a really big final lap And at the same time, Tarjei Bø was finding something from deep within himself, and it will be second as they stand for Sturla Holmlund, but by 0.4 of a second. He really tried to fight back and close the gap, but he couldn't quite do it.
Trailed by 3.6 with 9/10 of a K, or not yet, 9/10 of a kilometer, kilometer and 1.1 K to go. Trailed by 3.6 seconds and almost erased it. So Tarjei Bø hangs on by the narrowest of margins, 0.4 from first to second. Wow.
So no one after shooting 2 at the moment challenging Sturla Holmlund. Here's Martin Uldal, who is clean through the prone position. I thought we saw a miss next to his name, but he is clean in prone, and well, he'll need to do the same in standing if he's to challenge his Norwegian compatriot.
Nice solid shooting, but still a miss for Uldal. But this is the race to watch. Johannes Bø coming in bid 42, but behind him in bid 50, Tommaso Giacomel is making time on both Sturla Holmlund and Tarjei Bø. And if you look at how close he is to Lagerreid, and Lagerreid beat Bø to the line, Giacomel could still win this. He's 5.8 back with a kilometer to go.
Yep, and it won't be a podium today for Johannes Bø, and you could tell he just wasn't looking as comfortable as we'd expect from the yellow bib holder through the last couple of kilometres, and he falls outside the time. 2 misses on the day. He slots into 5th, 35.7 seconds down. Here's Emilien Jacquelin, 1 miss for the Frenchman, and that's 2 now. So things starting to sway strongly in the advantage of Tarjei Bø.
And here's Giacomel now. Oh, he's going to fall just outside the time.
It's going to be very close indeed. It will be enough for 3rd for now. 2.6 seconds behind
from first to 3rd.
I know, behind the time of Tarjei Bø, and that just shows how tight it is at the top of this table.
But Giacomel with 2 misses nearly wins, loses by 2.6 seconds with 2 misses.
And what a story that is, though. To come back, you could tell there was so much weight on his shoulders. He spoke about it on Instagram. And then to come back for a maiden victory. And, well, you'll have to wait and see if it's enough for a podium.
Yeah, it's still not. There's still Perrault out there with a miss from the prone position. But I mean, if you look at Giacomel's time, he's 13 seconds faster on course than Ponsaloma, 18 faster than Lagerreid, 26 faster than Horn, and 26.8 faster than Johannes Bø. Giacomel lit it up on his home course today, and just one shot missed too many, and he would have had his 2nd win in a row.
Yep.
Still might be good enough for 3rd, though. Talk about a change in fortune for the young Italian. Navrath, it's good, but just not good enough. Still skiing very well, but he's got to go around that loop. But the Tommaso Giacomel is on another level today on the skis. Unbelievable performance by the young Italian, just 24 years of age, and he is finding his groove mid-season here, heading into the World Championships.
Well, it's the time you want to do it, isn't it? Another solid performance from Jakob Falk, who still has some way to go. He has to go around the back of the range and down towards the finishing straight, and so it won't be enough to challenge the podium.
At the last time check, so tight. He's just 0.4 of a second slower than, or 1.4 seconds slower than Pedrucci, and he's 1/10 of a second ahead of the Czech skier Vyacheslav Hornig. You know, based on a split second, he could be 4th to 8th.
Well, look at that. Eric Perrault has gone 5 for 5. So 9 out of 10 on the day, and Eric Perrault could be in the challenge here. As Jakob Falk over the line in 5th, 26.8 seconds down. Eric Perrault exiting, shooting 2 in 10th, 26.6 seconds he needs to find.
Yeah, not quite the ski speed that Perrault needs to challenge today. The French not quite on their game, as you see Norway, Italy at the top of the order. And Jakob Falk with a really, I mean, I have to say, Fox ski performance with clean shooting today, 26.8 seconds back. It's a nice, solid performance by him.
Jake Brown coming into shooting 2, the American.
Brown clean from the prone. Has not scored a World Cup point yet this season at the top 40 finish. So with some good shooting here, should be well inside that mark, but starts with a miss. Resettles. Nice, 9 for 10. Good. That is a good, solid performance by Jake Brown. A mature performance, I would say. You tell the altitude was messing with him, and he took the time and hit the shot. Great trigger control. He's got 9 for 10. Should wind up in the top 30 or around there.
Patrick Jakob. Clean in the pro in the Austrian. But, trailing by 41.1 seconds coming into shooting 2. Nine for 10 for him as well. As Jakob heads back out on course. So the red seed, the top athletes in the field, almost all in the finish now. Is Martin Uldal, one of the final top athletes on the start order in bib 64, heads towards the finish. Yeah, just outside 25 seconds behind Tarjei Bø.
Uldal, of course, that spectacular sprint win in Le Grand NC, but then got sick immediately after that. And we see it very often, Ellen, that the athletes, when they're in the very best shape of their lives and they pull a great one out of them, the one that will win them their first World Cup, it's very easy to get sick right after that because you've just put out such a huge effort and you've trained yourself to have those reactions to those hard workouts, those interval sessions, the races that you're having, and then you put out the best race you've ever had, and your body just shuts down and says, I've had enough. And it's very tough. You're on the road, you're traveling. It's very hard to stay healthy. Uldal looks like he's done a pretty good job of managing that. Didn't show up in Oberhof. Not compete in Ruhpolding either.
Here's Bjørn Sørleb, who will come across the line in 23rd. Not enough for a top 20 today. 3 misses and 93 seconds behind the pace of his teammate.
Adam Reynolds is up from Canada there, 24th. That's a huge race for him with 2 penalties. So Reynolds almost skiing within 20 seconds of Schurum, which is awesome for him. He's a +2 average skier, so he's probably well under that ski average today.
Yeah, hasn't competed in a pursuit so far this season. His last pursuit was in Canmore. So Adam Reynolds.
He'll be there this weekend.
Yep, setting himself up nicely for a strong start on Sunday. Stromsheim in the top 20. 2 misses.
That effort to just try to get out of that Norwegian team, you can kind of feel the air leaving the balloon a little bit for the bulk of the Norwegian team as you look at Uldal coming to the finish. I think that these younger athletes, Stromsheim and Uldal, just relieved to have finally been named to that team, that they can just take a little bit of a break and kind of enjoy it and regroup for the World Championships coming up in early February.
Well, it seems that after that win in the mass start in Le Grand Bonnard for Tarjei Bø, it took some of the pressure off. After that, he knew that he'd done enough to make it onto the World Championships team, and he was just skiing and shooting with a bit more freedom after that. And the team announced on Monday, and Martin Uldal will be part of it. And 4th, so managed to close the gap on Produchny, and up into 4th, just off the podium. Here's Eric Perrault, bib number 70. And one of the last athletes, if not the last athlete, we've got an eye on for someone who could cause some disruption. It won't be to the podium, though. He's in 9th at 8.9 kilometres, 33.4 seconds off the time of Tarjei Bø. And you can see just how tight it was between the podium places at that point. So it won't be a podium today, and Eric Perrault now fighting to push himself up to the top 10.
Tarjei Bø now sitting in the driver's seat, 0.4 of a second. Ståle Holm Lagerheide must just be going back to that last kilometer in his mind. Where could he have gotten that 0.4 of a second? It's a flip of the hat. It's a movement. It's a missed pole plant that costs you the win, and it's the narrowest of margins, 2.6 seconds to third. Then for the pursuit, though, there will be a 18-second gap between Jacomel and Uldal, so about almost a penalty loop. But those three really way out ahead of the rest of the group by 20 seconds.
Yeah, it makes for an exciting start to the men's pursuit on Sunday with Tommaso Jacomel not far at all behind Ståle Holm Lagerheide and Tarjei Bø. Those three setting off within 3 seconds of each other, and of course we saw the excellent performance of Tommaso Jacomel in the mass start in Ruhpolding, and with that form and in mind, particularly the ski speed today, he will see it as something that he'll want to replicate. Is Emilien Jacquelin, who hasn't had a good day in the office at all in terms of particularly his standing shooting, 3 misses, and well, he won't be inside the top 10 or the top 20 here even. Simon Eder currently occupying 20th position, and Emilien Jacquelin over the line in 23rd, just ahead of his teammate Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who had 4 misses on the day, really struggling with that first shoot.
Jacomel not from this valley, he's from nearby in Ridnan, which is another major biathlon center where the IBU Cup regularly meets. It's from the town of Stettin. It's about an hour and a half away from Antholz, but feels like home to him as Navrath comes across the line with a solid performance, set 14th with 2 penalties on the day.
Urged over the line by the German fans who pack out the stands here in northeastern Italy. Eric Perrault.
Trying to stay in the top. He's going to fall outside the top 4 of Uldal. Uldal got Jakob Falk at the finish by... actually, Uldal at the finish, he's ahead of Petrucci by 2 seconds. Profiles outside that time.
8th for Eric Perrault, inside 30 seconds. So that bodes well for the pursuit. 1 miss on the day, but just didn't have the ski speed to match the likes of Ståle Holm Lagerheide, Tommaso Jacomel and Martin Uldal, Mitro Pedruchny, who all have misses ahead of him, but just had the edge on the skis. And here is the intermediate results. We have 69 of our 103 athletes through the finish line, and Tarjei Bø taking an important victory ahead of the World Championships. Johannes Tingersbø, his younger brother, down in 9th. Ståle Holm Lagerheide just 0.4 of a second off the time of Tarjei Bø, with 1 miss on the day. He'll mull that miss over a fair amount over the course of the next 24 hours, I'm sure. Tommaso Jacomel, 2 misses, but spectacular skiing, seeing him 2.6 seconds off the time of the leader, and back-to-back podiums after struggling to maintain consistency through the first half of the season. Tommaso Jacomel coming into some very good form indeed ahead of the World Championships next month. Martin Uldal just off the podium, but another flower ceremony for him again this season. 1 miss on the day, he finishes in 4th.
Tarjei Bø, it's been a long career, but this will be his 15th victory of his career, and nobody's going to be probably more happy for him than his younger brother, Johannes Tingersbø. Of course, a very emotional last couple of weeks for Johannes as he's announced his retirement. But one athlete who hasn't is Tarjei. he's not yet said that he's going to quit. I think a lot of people would assume that if Johannes is going to stop, then Tarjei, who's 36 years of age right now, is he going to keep going?
Well, they've spoken about retiring together, and how that has been a dream for a while between the pair of them, as Jake Brown over the line, and that's a really solid 26th for the American. 1 miss and 90 seconds off the pace today. But a good day in the office for Jake Brown, who will be in the pursuit tomorrow quite comfortably.
Yeah, his best performance of the year by quite a bit. He hasn't had a top 40 yet, so that's a nice feather in the cap for him. It was Emil Nyquist, who was clean on the day. This is a big performance for the Swede, and challenging to perhaps be the best Swede at the finish line. Ponsiluoma is in 12th. It's a time of Ponsiluoma, but the second best Swede, Nyquist, trying to get in the top 20. They drop behind teammate Samuelson, who's missed 3 and is in 21st. So still solid performance for Nyquist.
Yeah, one of the Swedes to actually perform very well in the range. It hasn't been a successful day in terms of shooting for the Swedish athletes, but Nyquist with 10 out of 10 on the day, 90 seconds off the pace of Tarjei Bø, who took his second win of the season, and 27 for the Swede.
That's ties his best. If he stays in 27th, he's done it twice before. The exact same place as his top mark, 27th for Nyquist if he hangs on. Tomas Sklenárik of Slovakia, top Slovakian athlete. Start with Big 81. Out of this field of 103.
103 athletes on the start list, 102 starting today. Sklenárik into the top half of the table. To 8.9 in 37 is Jeremy Finello, who will fall just outside of the pursuit positions. 5 misses on the day for the Swiss athlete. And 68. While Lovro Blanco over the line in 51st, so enough for now. Just living dangerously in those 50 to 60 positions. 3 misses on the day, it should be enough to see him through to the pursuit on Sunday.
Well, Tommaso Giacomelli narrowly missing his second straight win. A 9 for 10 would have done it today, and he's on a tear. There's no doubt about it that the fitness is there. He was frustrated earlier in the season with how things were going, and shared it publicly, and then magically won his first race in Ruhpolding in the mass start on the final day last weekend, and comes here, first race of Antholz, and nearly wins it again, just 2.6 seconds shy with 2 penalties. That is, it's almost unfathomable from a relatively young and relatively inexperienced athlete to take the field on the skis like he did today.
Excellent ski form. And just a brilliant story all round after last weekend, and just days prior he'd shared that post that said it's not a bad life, it's just a bad period, an emotional picture, and to come back and perform in the way he did in the mass start and to back it up on home snow, not too dissimilar to what Otto and Vinius did after having quite a tough start to the season as well. He also took to social media his disappointment, and well, within just 6 days of that found a PB performance to finish 7th in Ruhpolding. So it's nice to see the narrative change around some of these athletes who haven't had the best start to the early part of the season, but have come back in 2025 and started to change their results and an upturn in performances as well.
Yeah, and I think as you watch the season go, as you see Sklenárik with clean shooting come across the line in the top 40, 39th, he'll be in the pursuit. But, we throw around these marks and these statistics of ski speed and the percentage to the middle of the field, or to the average of the field. And those are all very nebulous and flow. They flow, those percentages. It's not like you're a 0 skier all year long or you're a -6 skier all year long. It's like it ebbs and flows. And the fitness can change quite a bit. If you look at Giacomelli, he's a -3 skier and he just outskied the field. He's probably going to be on the end of the day -6 to -7 in that metric on the day. But it's an average. And if you're having a struggling period of the season, and you find the fitness, you erase that gap very quickly. And Giacomello proved that. He did that in just a week and a half's time, really, from the post of his frustration to where he is today. And it shows you how very quickly things can change.
Good number 102. Vadim Corrales of Kazakhstan. Narrowly missed out on the pursuit in Hopfilzen, finishing 61st. He comes in for shooting 2. And once again finds himself in 61st as he enters the shooting range.
That magic 61 is kind of a goal for these later starters, is to try to have a good performance and get into that pursuit start on Sunday.
You can hear the frustration there. The 22-year-old competed at the World University Games, finishing 6th in the mass start before joining back up in the World Cup. And well, a very emotional Tarjei Bø there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's emotional or if he needs sunglasses in the...
It's hard to tell, isn't it? It's his second win of the season. It's the way the way the tears keep coming and the sunglasses on the head. You feel this is quite an emotional day for Tarjei Bø.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting this. He's got 2 wins this season already, halfway through the season, and he had a very slow start on the skis. I think he was worried he was not going to even get to the World Championships, and what a turn of the season for him.
Yep.
And he's only one win shy of his brother right now for the season.
Rajan Danusa will also fall outside the time and the position required for the pursuit on Sunday. He's across the line in 76. 4 misses for the Swiss athlete. Tarjei Bø has a great podium to win ratio this season. 3 podiums and 2 wins. That's not bad at all, is it?
Only being outdone by Lou Jean Minot, who's 5 for 5, 5 wins, 5 podiums. So it's good, but it's a great statistic, high water statistic.
Yeah, really good ratio to have for the older of the Bø brothers. 2 sprint discipline wins, of course, overall, and the most recent coming last season. And the previous was back in the 2010-2011 season. Not starting this season, as we've spoken about on plenty of occasions, in the way he would have wanted, but back to good form. 2 wins, 3 podiums, and very much like his younger brother, a good record competing here. Took 2nd in the short individual last season. 3 podiums, 4 today. That's now 4. Here in Antholz. So 88 athletes across the finish line. Tarjei Bø with an impressive victory, but just 0.4 of a second of Sturla Holmberg to after that blip in the individual in Ruhpolding is more than back on track. His worst finish of the season coming in the individual, but I think even a blip would be too much to describe that. Just a mere wobble back on the podium, almost straight away in the mass start to finish 2nd, and his excellent form continues.
Yeah, Tarjei Bø, not the he's skied 8th fastest today, 30 seconds off the time of Tommaso Giacomello, but I think what's amazing is the longevity of his career and his ability to find the power and the desire when he needs it, and he did it today. I mean, he won it out of a clean shooting score with a miss to Lagerheid, who skied better today. I would say This is probably one of Sturla Holm Lagereid's best ski performances in a sprint this season. And Jacomel, absolutely the best ski race maybe of his entire career today. And Tarjei Bø holds him off on the shooting range as a great in season biathlete would. It's a nice combination of solid skiing. It's not spectacular, but he did biathlon the best today, and he did it by 0.4 of a second better than Sturla, his teammate. So it's but what a tight finish, 2.6 seconds from first to third, and it doesn't get much tighter than that. Basically a mass start between the two Norwegians and the young Italian on Sunday for the pursuit start.
Which, of course, makes it exciting because two of those three have must-start victories already this season.
Yeah.
As we watch back the closing stages of Tarjei Bø's race.
Yeah, Sturla Lagereid has not had a win yet in the mass start this year, but it's set up pretty well for him, or a pursuit start this year. But Lagereid is a master at the 4 shooting stages, especially the head-to-head. Actually, he's won the pursuit, not a mass start, but it is a pursuit. So Lagereid is definitely one to. I would say probably the favorite of those three, just in his recent ski form and his shooting statistics. Is if Lagereid goes clean, it's clear that Tarjei Bø today could not have stayed with him.
He took that first victory of the season for him, Sturla Holm Lagereid, in the pursuits in Oberhof. There's Max and 4 min.
Getting word from our sources that Tarjei Bø announced at the finish line just now to NRK reporters that he is retiring after the season. So some breaking news right on the courses from Antholz that he has officially said to NRK that he's retiring at the end of the year with his brother.
Well, that would explain a lot of the emotional expressions. You could see it was while he was being interviewed, and we did mention the amount of times that they've spoken, both of them, both Johannes Tingers and Tarjei, about wanting to retire in the same season. And a lot of the questions before that were how long would Johannes be able to persuade Tarjei to keep going. And well, the change of what we expected, it was of course Johannes who announced his retirement first on Saturday.
Yeah, and I should say that mid-show, my suggestions that he may not retire were mostly in jest. I think we all probably anticipated this announcement, but that probably has a lot to do with why we saw the tears flowing. Is that it's going to be an emotional thing for if all you've ever known in your adult life is this sport as your profession. It's a tough thing to close. There's Jasper Fleming now from Canada. 7 for 10 on the day.
Just 19 years old. You mentioned it earlier, Chad. It is a very young Canadian team. Runnels leading the way in terms of the experience.
Yeah, good day for Runnels for sure. That's one of his better performances of his career. But you look at Jasper Fleming. He's at 19. This is great experience. You know, he's 95th in the standings today, but you got to start somewhere. And you know, if he stays with it, he will be up in the top half of the field. Then he'll have his first World Cup points and then his first top 20, and it's coming for Fleming. But it is a big gap for a 19-year-old, as we now see Tarjei Bø, and we understand a little bit more about what's going on down there.
Edgårdsmide over the line. And Patriuks with the Latvians over the line together as, well, there'll be plenty of photos. Handshakes, celebrations as Tarjei Bø announces his retirement after victory here in Antholz in this sprint. We will lead the way. The team's out in the pursuit on Sunday, our final race of the weekend here in Antholz, the men's pursuit on Sunday afternoon. It's in 4 men, 73rd, 9 out of 10 in the range. And the Great Britain kit of Marcus Ballin-Webb, the British Army athlete who is over the line in 96. 3 misses on the day. And Vadim Corrales, who with those 2 misses falls well outside of the positioning required for the pursuit. It's the top 60 who will progress to the pursuit on Sunday.
One more finisher out on the course yet, Mihail Usov of Romania. Excuse me, from Moldova. Usov is Moldova, the final finisher coming towards the finish line at this beautiful stadium that will host the Olympic Games in a year's time. It's a venue worthy of the Olympics.
Plenty of investment going into the range, the stadium, the areas around it to enhance the fan experience and the experience for the athletes ahead of the Winter Olympics. And a brilliant opportunity as well for the athletes, particularly of those who will be hoping to pull on the Italian colours to race here on home snow ahead of those Winter Olympic Games, which will take place too much further over this time next year. Mihail Usov over the line, 94th, and concludes the men's sprint. And well, plenty of outpourings of love and support for Tarjei Bø, who has announced his retirement. There was plenty of questions and speculation over when he would call time on his career after Johannes Tingers announced his retirement last weekend. And well, what a moment and what a way to be able to do it after a second victory of the season, a third podium, a first victory here in the stunning scenery here in Antholz.
And no press conference needed. He's just going to win the race and steal the headlines and get all of our attention and then tell us after he's won. It's a pretty classy way to do it.
Yep. It's, well, plenty of athletes, I'm sure that would be the dream, the best way to bow out. And of course we will end the season on home snow in Oslo, and well, that will be as well for sure an emotional time for the whole Norwegian team and for the sport as a whole. Tarjei Bø taking victory for the first time here in Antholz, another to add to his great ratio of wins and podiums this season. 3 podiums, 2 wins. And Sturla Holmberg keeps up his excellent form. 1 miss on the day and, well, heartbreakingly 4/10 of a second behind Tarjei Bø. And you do wonder how that might have changed the narrative if Sturla Holmberg would have taken the victory today. Tommaso Giacomel takes 3rd place, 2 misses, but an exceptional day on the skis. He finishes 2.6 seconds behind the time of Tarjei Bø, despite adding an extra 300 metres onto his race. To go back-to-back podiums on the BMW IBU World Cup. It's Martin Uldal who falls just outside of the podiums in 4th, another flower ceremony for him, as well as Dmitro Produchny, who is back to good form after sparkling in Oberhof, dropping off slightly in Ruhpolding and back in the flower ceremonies here in Antholz, and Jakov Fak rounds out the top 6, clean shooting on the day in 26.8 seconds behind the time of our winner. You can see the athletes on your screen who have fallen outside the top 60. All of those who have fallen inside the top 60 will be competing in the pursuit on Sunday. And looking past Jakov Fak and rounding out the rest of the top 10, Vítězslav Hornig with clean shooting, 10 out of 10 after smashing his personal best. Jonas Malacek is in 10th. Johannes Tingersbo in 9th, Eric Perrault in 8th. And, well, with Johannes Tingersbo finishing in 9th and Stella Holmler-Glide continuing his good form, it is Stella Holmler-Glide who will take the yellow bib off the shoulders of Johannes Tingersbo. He had cut the gap to just 38 points, and with taking second spot today, it is enough to see the yellow bib transferred from one Norwegian set of shoulders to the other.
Yeah, the gap today in points with Lagerheide in second. He takes 75 points, where Johannes Tingersbo in 9th takes 34 points, and there's the gap. It's just a 3-point gap now.
3-point gap.
And that'll make things very interesting going into the latter half of the season. Remember, the World Championships now, after this weekend, do not count in the overall standings. It's just the World Cup events. So they'll race for medals at World Championships, but then it's a 3-stop race for the overall title between this man here and Johannes Tingersbo in his final season.
Yep, and you have to say it is between those two. Eric Perrault sits in 3rd. He's climbed up 1 place as his compatriot Emilien Jacquelin drops down to 4th. There's only 1 point between Eric Perrault and Emilien Jacquelin, but Eric Perrault sits on 544, while Stella Holmler-Glide and Johannes Tingersbo separated by 3 points. It's Stella Holmler-Glide who's on 764. So going into the racing in the World Championships, of course, one more race to go before that. It is the 2 Norwegians who have broken away from the 2 Frenchmen in the top 4.
It's a very exciting top of the order. It's been a few years since we've had a good fight for the overall World Cup win in the men's side, as Johannes Tingersbo has kind of exerted his will on the field. His illness and over the holiday season certainly affecting his ski fitness right now. And that has opened up the door for Stella Holmler-Glide to possibly take the overall title. He leads by 3 points. But if you look at 764 to 761 points over the course of the season, it's akin to today's spread in the race. You know, there's 2.6 seconds between 3rd and 1st. In terms of overall World Cup points, a 3-point gap is about equivalent to 1/10 of seconds in the course of the season. It's pretty tight.
No, it's tight at the top of the overall point standings. It's tight today, and no one felt that more so than Stella Holmler-Glide, who was 0.4 of a second away from taking top spot. Leaving it all out there on the final lap, despite one penalty loop, able to find himself just 0.4 of a second behind Tarjei Bø.
Well, he took the yellow bib off the shoulders of Johannes Tingersbo, did Stella Holmler-Glide, but he's also going to take the red bib in the sprint by 2 points. It's tight there as well, 279 to 277. Marco Uldal moves up into 3rd in the overall sprint standings. Jacquelin drops to 4th from 3rd with 235. He's just a point down to Uldal, so again, a very tight race up top the sprint standings as well.
Well, playing a very consistent long game is Stella Holmler-Glide. But topping the standings and making the headlines today is Tarjei Bø, who, speaking to NRK after the race, has announced his retirement. hopefully we will be able to hear from him shortly.
Tarjei, you seem to be very emotional, and this victory seemed to be very special for you. Can you please tell us why?
Yeah, the reason I'm crying is that I told Norwegian TV just 5 minutes ago that this will be my last season. So that's why. It's my first victory here in Antholz, but I said to myself that if I win again this season, I want to say it, because I want to give it maximal attention when I want to have it as a memory the day I stop, and nothing is better than to say it while I'm winning. And this was a really nice day. My wife is here. I got my second victory this season and my first here in Antholz, and it was a really tough one, exciting one. And it was the right day to say it. Now I feel relieved and I can enjoy the rest of the season.
You did an amazing job. Congratulations. And thank you so much for all of your wins, for all of your fight, for everything you've done in biathlon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, it's always great to hear from our race winners, but particularly special, Chad, to hear from the man himself. We heard it slightly earlier on as we got the shots of him talking to NRK, and in quite emotional fashion, as you can see the World Cup sprint scores on your screen. But the story, of course, Tarjei Bø just in the last 10 minutes announcing his retirement at the end of the season. He will leave the sport alongside his younger brother Johannes Bø. They've both spoken so regularly about the desire to retire together, and it's we mentioned it just then, whether if Stella Holmgren had found an extra tenth of a second, whether that narrative and that story would have happened today, and it seems it wouldn't have. Chad, he said there that he wanted to wait for a win and to really have the full attention on a happy moment for the sport and for himself.
Yeah, it really struck me as he said that the Bø brothers certainly know how to motivate themselves. They set markers for themselves to reach before they allow themselves a pleasure or something that they get to enjoy themselves that the rest of us do not partake in. And I think that's a classy thing to do, but it also shows you the heart of a champion and a winner. These guys are good at what they do, and they know how to motivate themselves. And they're going to, they've set themselves up for a season a remainder of a season that going into the World Championships builds a little pressure on them, honestly, but also puts their careers a little bit in a grander context. And I think that is the classiness of both the Bø brothers and the way that they've been champions. They're ending their careers in very akin ways so they've carried themselves throughout their career, and I salute them both for all they've done for the sport and continue to do for the sport.
First win in Antholz for Tarjei Bø. A fitting setting and backdrop for him to announce his retirement, but far from over this race week for the Norwegian, who will be back for the pursuit and will be leading the way in the men's 12.5k pursuit on Sunday. We do have the men's relay tomorrow. Let's see the start list and who will line up for that. Tarjei Bø leads out the flower ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the awarding ceremony for the men's sprint competition. The athletes are awarded by Ms. Natalie Santa, IBU Executive Board Member, and Mr. Georg Greden, Mayor of the community of Åland. On third place, representing Italy, Tommaso Giacomel.
Well, a huge effort on the skis for Tommaso Giacomel. Back-to-back podiums. And last season's blue bib winner is well and truly back. Backing up his victory in the mass start in Ruhpolding last week with a bronze medal in the sprint. And well, it will seem like a mass start. He will be just 2.6 seconds behind Tarjei Bø, 2.2 seconds behind Sturla Holmberg as he sets off in the pursuit on Sunday. Sturla Holmberg, this is becoming quite the regular occurrence for him. So consistent this season, and he's rewarded with his consistency. He'll pull on the yellow bib at this ceremony. A silver medal today in Antholz.
Yeah, 7 podiums and 13 starts this season, and none of those finishes worse than 16th. It's a pretty impressive season by Sturla, as he's kind of he's not taking the headlines, but he's sneakily moving up the order.
Well, all the headlines will be about this man, and few because of the victory today, but more so about what it has triggered, and that is the announcement that at the end of this season, Tarjei Bø will leave the sport along with his younger brother. He wanted to wait for a victory, and his first in Antholz and his second of the season has led him to make this call, and you can just see how much the decision and the support from the crowd and those around him means to him. A really emotional day, not just for him, but for Norwegian biathlon and the sport as a whole.
I was going to say, it's remarkable that if you think about Johannes Tingesbø retiring, he has 88 wins. This is Tarjei's 15th win. It's quite a different order. To wait for a win when you only have 14 is a little more audacious than waiting for your 89th, but nonetheless, what a spectacular way to win, and what a great memory this is for Tarjei Bø.
You can see Sturla Holmberg as well. Feeling the emotions of the day as well.
That's a sign of great teammate there when you're crying just about as much as the guy who's retiring.
And the next Norwegian steps up. Martin Oldal taking 4th place and takes a bow. No doubt has been a huge inspiration to Martin Oldal as he begins his adventure in the sport. It's the great Tarjei Bø and Johannes Tingesbø retire at the end of the season. Dmitry Produchny once again in the flower ceremony. A really strong start to 2025 for him, and they're joined by Jakob Fack, 10 out of 10, and he continues his solid season.
You look at Martin Oldal there, young, in his early 20s. You need to look no further than how he skis as to whether he emulates the Bø brothers or not. You can see it in his ski form and his technique. It's that alone is the tip of the hat to the Bøs.
And both Tarjei and Johannes Tingers will know that.
And see you for the next competition tomorrow.
They'll be reminded as this farewell tour now continues of the impact that they've had on the sport.
Have a good rest. See you soon. Thank you.
I'm sure they'll embrace these opportunities for photographs and memories even more so after the announcement today. And amongst the tears, it's all smiles for Tarjei Bø, who announces his retirement after victory here in Antholz, his first win here in Italy. And we'll acknowledge the Norwegians in the crowd. Plenty of Norwegian flags scattered around the stand and out around the course. An important day. A day to be remembered for Tarjei Bø and Norwegian biathlon. And we will wait to see who lines up tomorrow as the attention turns back to the women for the 10k pursuit. That gets underway at 1 o'clock Central European time, followed by the men's 4 times 7.5 kilometre relay. Well, plenty of love all round for the Norwegian team. It's Tommaso Giacomel who took third, Sturla Humlegård just 0.4 of a second behind the winner, Tarjei Bø. And a result that would lead to him announcing his retirement. He will lead the men out on the pursuit on Sunday, but first the women's 10 kilometre pursuit starting at 1 o'clock Central European time tomorrow.